a clearer understanding of what's going on, for how decisions are made, and basically help citizens and council understand better the right decision-making process. And so with that in mind, we seek to have a positive impact on future decisions in the interest of all citizens. We ask that city council and city officials act with openness and honesty without defensiveness. We don't intend to antagonize. We seek first to understand the issues, then have government understand the needs of its citizens. We want to bring back more trust, participation, and understanding of how city government works. In many cases, we seek more responsiveness to citizens or taxpayers. We also seek to have council represent all the citizens or taxpayers in their decision-making process. You'll be hearing more from this organization as we develop. Right now, it's in its infancy stage, but we're looking for acceptance for this organization from the beginning. We don't want to be a thorn in anyone's side. We want to be an organization for progress.
Hello, my name's Nancy Valerio, and I live in Williston as well. We look at this as an opportunity. Our group, everyone in our group so far, have agreed that this is a really good opportunity for us as a group to meet with citizens and you all and find out what the citizens' questions are and what they want you to know. And it's an opportunity for you as well to educate us. You talked about educating citizenry. I think it's a good opportunity for you to do that. And yourselves, when things come up that you need more information on. So just to add to a little bit of what Mr. Fuller said, it's kind of a win-win thing, I think. It's opportunity for you, opportunity for us, and it's all in the best interest of the town, of the city of Williston.
Can't go wrong there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else that I missed the first time? There is another opportunity at the end of the agenda, so if you think of something between now and then, or you hear something you want to talk about, let us know. All right, we'll move then to item number 3, which is the consent agenda, which tonight consists of the council meeting minutes of August the 2nd. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I have a motion, I have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 4 is old business, and we will start with our staff board council updates, and we will begin with the city manager.
Good evening, council. We received our update on our population from Beaver today. Beaver is Bureau of Economic and Business Research out of UF, and we get these annually to try and keep up with our numbers. And right now, as of 4/1/2022, we have 3,085 people. So we broke that 3,000 mark. So we've gone up 109 since last year, according to our census. So those are numbers we always ask because they're good for our grants and all the information we have to have. Anyway, I have this if anybody wants a copy, but that's our latest. We did get bids in today for John Henry Park. They're very high. We only got one bid, but it's being vetted right now through the engineers because it is very high, to make sure that it's doable. And I can tell you, Wright Pierce just grabbed at an opportunity yesterday to do another grant, because if you remember, we've been bidding this out for so long and we haven't got bidders, and it's been difficult for us. But meanwhile, all of our supply and demand has increased, so all the prices have doubled. So they were able to grab a grant yesterday to try and even get extra money to cover extra costs. So that's what we're trying to do now. Is
For the public, this is a stormwater.
It is. It's if you
grant.
know, it's the basin is around John Henry Park. It always floods when we have really torrential rains. Joby, you know that for a fact. So he lives right in the middle of it. And for years, this has been on the books to get done. And we were able to grab a hold of the study, get it to our engineer, get some attention to it. And we tried first for a DOT grant, and they, after a while, it ended up being SWIP, Southwest Florida Water Management District grant that is funding it. But we got no bids, and meanwhile, all the prices are just going crazy. So we're trying to keep up with it. This has been on the books for 30 plus years, so we're really anxious to get this going. It's to stop the flooding, and it also has some water and sewer work that we're doing out there that needs to be upgraded while we're there. Jonathan, have I left anything out?
No, but with the sewer, and road improvements,
Right. So it's gonna get cleaned up if we can hurry this project off go. So we're excited, we at least got one bid. It's just very high, it doubled from what our estimate was originally. So we're trying to make sure we understand it, we have a great firm working on it, and I just want y'all to know that. And that's all I have at this point. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, we'll move
Dina
to
has,
staff.
Dina does.
Dina.
Hello, good evening. I just wanted to give an update on our staffing at this time. That we do have about 8 positions open, and we're doing some creative sourcing for those positions to try to get them filled. Our Public Works Department has many of those roles that are available, and we are having some challenges right now, just kind of filling those positions. So I just wanted to update you that we are doing some creative sourcing to try to get those positions
Okay,
filled.
perfect. All right, yeah. Other staff here, Kirsten. I'll get
Yes.
there, promise.
Mr. President, I'm going to have, hopefully Dina and Jackie can pass along a copy of a complaint was served on Mayor Goodman very recently, just within the last week or so. This was a complaint which has been filed by George Phillips. I know that we've had some discussion about interactions that we've had with him before on the council. So he's filed a complaint which has 4 counts. It has an inverse condemnation count under the Florida statute, or under the Florida Constitution. It has an inverse condemnation count under the 5th Amendment of the United States Constitution. It has a trespass count, and it has a nuisance count. So I have been working with staff. We've sent the complaint in to our insurance company to see if the insurance will be providing an attorney for our firm to work with, and we will go from there. That's all the information that I have for you on this now. We've not answered it yet, but we do have the deadline calendared. It's 40 days from the day we were served.
And they've acknowledged the 40 days rather than what's stated in the...
They have not acknowledged it, but that does not change that
Okay.
it is 40 days.
All right, thank you.
Madam President, that is the law, and it's a commonly, should probably get closer to the microphone, I suppose. That is the law, that we have 40 days from the day, exclusive of the day of service.
Because we're a municipality.
Because we're a municipality, and so we move a little slower. It's not as quick as private business or private industry or a private person. So we have the 40 days, and that's a pretty common defect for plaintiffs in pursuing a claim against the municipality. One of the first things that we're looking at right now is the federal preemption statute for the FAA, which is basically that the regulations regarding airspace, and of course Benton pointed to this as well when we met with him, that this is preempted by federal law. And this is a state court case that is basically, as Kirsten said, alleging a nuisance and inverse condemnation, but our initial research is going to be directed towards the federal preemption of the law and the regulations under the federal government and the FAA, and that this type of lawsuit is not allowed. So that we will very likely be filing a motion to dismiss the proceeding and possibly removing it to federal court. We're licensed to practice in federal court just like state court. So we welcome the opportunity to defend it.
Thank you.
Now, if our insurance company steps forward and they we do have coverage for this. If that is the determination of our adjuster, then we'll work with the attorney that is assigned to us by our insurance.
Thank you, appreciate that update.
Sir?
Would we have to make that move, or would the plaintiff in this case have to make that move? Transfer it to court?
We would likely make that move ourselves. That's what would happen. They elected to file in state court, and we believe that federal claims will govern this case.
So
we
it's
haven't.
proper as is?
That's the way we read it right now. We need to do some more research into it to see if our claim is accurate and supported under law, but that's what we're working on right now.
It's also written as 20 days to respond, and it's really 40 for every municipality. So when you read that 20 days, it's really 40 for us.
That's correct.
The way I've been told. Okay, I saw Mr. Fire Chief Stickles' hand back there.
I got it. Good evening, council. I just wanted to give you an update on the new squad truck. August 28th, which is a Sunday evening, Chief Willis and Captain Maddox will be flying out to go do the final inspection on the truck, and if that passes final inspection, they're going to drive it back. If it doesn't pass final inspection, they can walk back. But, for those of you who don't know, the truck is in Springville, Utah. It's going to be quite the hike. But anyway, just want to let y'all know.
Before it gets too cold, but wow. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, let me start over here with Deputy Chief Bavard.
No, ma'am, I'm good.
Anything, Ms. Willis? Mr. Stickle, you got anything at this point? Chief Rolls?
Good.
Good for tonight? Aaron? Laura, anything at this point? Okay, we're gonna move then. We're moving to item number 5, which is new business. Wait, let me ask if the council has anything at this time. I forgot that, I'd written all over my agenda, so I didn't see it. Anything at this time? We do have another announcement time at the end for the council. Okay, new business, item 5, we have Mr. Rodney Long, candidate for State Senate, District 9. Welcome, sir. You also have a handout from him on your desk.
Thank you, Madam President, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm Rodney Long. I am a candidate for Florida Senate District 9. It is a newly created Senate District seat, which includes all of Lee, all of Marion, and half of Alachua County. There is no incumbent currently in this seat because it's a newly created seat. I've been visiting all of the local governments and all of these 3 counties to introduce myself, so they'll get to know who the next state senator will be. I spent a lot of time in Levy County. I've attended Chiefland, Bronson, Cedar Key, Fanning Springs. I'm here tonight in Williston. I got plans to go to Otter Creek and Yankeetown. I've been before the county commission, and I'm going before the school board on the 23rd. So I want to make sure that I leave no stones unturned to make sure that I understand what are the issues and challenges and who are the people in this community. I am not assuming, and I'm not taking anything for granted about representing the people in Levy County. I'm putting a lot of time in. I want to let you know just a little bit about Rodney Long. I'm a lifelong resident of Alachua County. I've had the opportunity to serve in local government. I'm married to my wife Carol for 35 years. We have 5 adult children. 3 of them are natural, 2 of them adopted. We have 11 grandchildren. We have 1 great-grandchild, and we have 1 great-grandchild on the way. So we own 2 businesses, we own 2 not-for-profit businesses as well, and I'm on the ministerial staff at my church, Showers of Blessing Harvest Center in Gainesville, Florida. Let me give you a little bit about my elected office experience. I've had the opportunity to serve on 2 different occasions in local government. I was elected to the Gainesville City Commission, served 2 terms, 1 term as mayor. I was very involved in the Florida League of Cities and the National League of Cities. I've had the opportunity to serve on the Alachua County Commission. I served 3 terms on the Alachua County Commission, 2 terms as chair. And I was honored to be elected by my colleagues around the state of Florida to serve as president of the Florida Association of Counties for 2 terms. I was elected by the National Association of Counties Board of Directors to represent counties at the White House in 2011. So local government, I understand very, very well. I am a product of local government. I am a firm believer of local home rule authority. Now, my opponent says under the state of Florida Constitution, because they are a sovereign state, local government has no authority. I disagree with that very strongly. I cannot convince school board members, county commissioner members, and city council members that they have no authority that comes from the local people who elect them to serve. So as your next state senator, you have my assurance. I will oppose all and any local mandates, and I will push back on any preemptions that they try to pass on local government, because I believe that government closer to the people is the best form of government for the people. There's another issue that seems to be a pause right now, according to Secretary Perdue of the Florida Transportation, and that is the no bill of the toll roads. Now let me caution you right now. Do not be lulled to sleep that there is a pause on building these toll roads. What they're going to do is pause it throughout the election season. Now I support the no bill option that's been approved by the city of Inglis, Cedar Key, and the county commission. And I hope tonight that you all pass a resolution of no bill. So when I'm your next senator in Tallahassee, I'll have clear direction that the people of Levy County does not want a toll road, and I will fight to defund it. And since it's on life support now, to be paused, when it gets some more life, I will vote to kill it in Tallahassee. And you have my assurance on that. Finally, I want to let you know that I've talked to people in Levy County. Levy County has a challenge when it comes to health care and health care facilities. I want to do whatever I can as your next state senator to bring to the table government, the resources in Tallahassee, and the providers of health care facilities in our region to the table to talk about providing a health care facility in Levy County. So with that, I want to leave you my personal cell phone number, as well as all the people in this room, my personal cell phone number. So you can call me personally if you have issues or things that you like to talk about in this community. My personal cell phone number is 352-494-6099. I'm going to repeat that again. 352-494-6099. I want to thank my colleague who I served with on the Florida Association of Counties, County Commissioner Lily Rook, who's retiring. She supported my campaign because she knows my leadership style. I don't govern based upon small counties, rural counties, red counties, blue counties, if you have an R behind your name or a D. I do what is in the best interest of the people that I represent and I serve. I do understand that we may have differences, but I will do my level best to represent the citizens of this city and of this county, regardless if you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. I want your support. I love to be your voice. And if you need me, you have my cell phone number. So thank you very, very much for allowing me to come. And I look forward to being the voice of the people of Levy County in Tallahassee. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming. I know in years past I have seen you many times at the Florida City's meetings. And we thank you. We thank you for your leadership there.
Okay, we will move at this time to item 5B, which is discussion with possible action of the no bill resolution. And I don't know which one of you three are coming.
Just two of us tonight.
So if you will, introduce yourselves. Thank you.
Yeah, Miss Robbie Blake couldn't make it tonight, so I'm Laura Catlow, and I live in Bronson, and this is?
Kim Wheeler, I'm Williston, unincorporated, but I care about the city, as you know, because I've been here for those vision workshops, and thank you for what you're doing across the street. It's going to make a big difference. Go ahead.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
I have a big mouth. I apologize.
Good evening. By now, you've probably heard the news about the Northern Turnpike extension, that the FDOT has determined that all 4 proposed routes are non-viable, and the project is currently halted and in a pause state. This is all due to 9 months of intensive community organizing throughout the 4 counties of Levy, Citrus, Sumter, and Marion. Residents answered the call to interact with local and state government and the FDOT project officials, and our voices were heard. While we wait for FDOT to take the final step, the most logical step, and recommend the no-build option, because it is the only option for the NTE project. So in the meantime, we have prepared for your review information and a draft of a no-build resolution for the city of Williston, Florida. We appreciate your consideration and hope that you will join the Alliance of No Build, No Toll Road Municipalities, which include, first, to sign was Levy County Commission, the Denellen City Council, Inglis Town Commission, the Yankeetown Council, Inverness City Council, and most recently, unanimously, Citrus County Commission and the town of Bronson. Kim?
I'm here because there have been rumors, actually very scary rumors, that 2727A will be their next, it's in their site. Okay, we all know what happened when FDOT came through Williston. It was before my time, but I've driven through here and I have friends who talk about we were the antique capital. People from up north, they came this way to stop in Williston, to see the farms, to go antiquing. Friends talk about it. I worked down on Sanibel and Captiva. People talked about Williston. I didn't really know it that well. I've driven through it once, a long time ago. And then I discovered it. And I love it dearly. I love Florida. I'm from South Florida. I'm originally from Indiana, New England. Lived in Omaha. I've lived all over the states. And I see what happens when people don't pay attention. And things just sort of slowly turn into sprawl. And then what you love best about your home is destroyed. I retired here. I've got a grandson. I've got family here. I want to stay here. I don't want to move again. So I'm hoping that they don't consider 2727A. We're already having issues. Jackie, you are amazing what you've tried to do. I mean, we have issues. Parking, the sidewalks. We've talked about so many things that we could make better. If they decide to bypass us again, I mean, bypass our towns, destroy our towns, and divide our neighborhoods. Won't go into all the agricultural problems that we have with farms being destroyed. We need to be having government issues that protect our ag land and protect our water, because if we don't have water, all that development, we're going to have issues like they're having out west right now with the Colorado River. Our aquifer is fantastic, but it is not infinite. And if we truly have climate change and our rain, which we're not getting the rain I need for my garden right now, I'll tell you that much, it makes you nervous. So please, we ask that you sincerely consider it, because we know you care, and I think it's in the best interest of our whole area that we say, Tallahassee, no way. So, I'm going to do my last pitch, which is, it's on a pause. We educate, we organize, and please everybody vote. Mr. Long, you've got my vote. Brandon, you've got my vote. You folks here, you work hard, and we really appreciate it, so I please hope you will support our no-build option. We need it. Thank you.
One statement, one question.
Yes.
We have sent a resolution in the past stating that we were not in favor of the toll road, even though it wasn't going to affect us straight through the middle of our town. The other question that I have is, you said you have a sample resolution? Is it here?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I missed
and
it.
the reason is, I believe your initial one was for MCORS. So this is with SB 100, and it is slightly different. So we're just trying to make sure we, I guess, what do they say, cross our T's and dot our I's. We just want to make sure they understand that it's not needed. And it's both for the city of Williston and unincorporated Williston.
Okay, so possibly we'll put this on our next agenda for consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Wright, will you make sure it's
And thank you for putting us on the agenda. We appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. Okay, at this time, we're going to have an open public hearing. Item C is first reading of ordinance 2022-698, an ordinance of the city of Williston, Florida, making certain findings, determinations, amending sections 40-141 through 40-145 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Williston, Florida, adopting, enacting, and providing for electric utility rate making by resolution, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And I have Mr. Barber's name on here. Mr. Barber, are you leading our discussion? Mr. Barber is not there.
He stepped out.
Okay,
He stepped out for a minute.
Okay, I do believe we have some attachments that are in our agenda. I don't know if we have those on the PowerPoint. Anybody know where Mr. Barber is?
This title's not right. The title on the agenda is correct. The title on the ordinance attached is this part? Just so you know that.
Yeah.
So we have to fix that before second reading. So if you'll read the title that's on the agenda memo, that'd be good.
I did.
What this ordinance does, I don't know where he's at.
I did read the ordinance as it is on the agenda.
Okay. All this is doing is taking the area of the code that's in our muni code right now, under electric.
Right.
That says that all rate changes will be done by ordinance, and saying it will be from this point on, rate making will be done by resolution. And if you remember, it was based on the discussion we had where you wanted 2 workshops that went with this. So that's what this ordinance is doing, is facilitating what you've already discussed.
Okay, and what's wrong with what's in the agenda?
If you look at the packet, it says amending section 4142. It's actually amending sections 41 through 1 through 4145. It just got the title wrong. So it's correct on here that you read, and we'll have it corrected on the ordinance.
Excuse me one moment.
I think it says the same thing.
I had sent them out.
Oh, you have sent a new
Yes.
one? And
Yes.
I'm well done.
Oh, yes, we did get a new revised agenda with the...
Today at 4:50.
Yeah, sorry. Yes. I don't know if
Okay.
everybody saw that.
Thank you, so,
But we did get it.
just, all right, thank you for that, but that's what this is doing, is taking it out of the charter as it's written, out of the code as it's written now, and amending those sections saying that from this, once it's adopted, and after the second public hearing, rate making will be done by resolution, not by public hearing,
Right.
okay?
Okay, this isn't actually setting the rate. This is the resolution that tells how we will set the rate.
That's
I got one more thing I would like
Yes,
to
sir, absolutely.
possibly try to add to this. I would like, if it does change to a resolution for law purposes, so we don't get sued, I would still like to have the mayor to where he can veto it, even if it is a resolution, if it is dealing with rate adjustments.
I don't think our charter will allow
I
it.
don't think it does either, because resolutions are policy, ordinance is law.
And I think the charter says ordinance, not resolution.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Hold on a second.
So your charter does say ordinances, not resolutions. My initial thoughts on that, Councilmember, is that if we decide to have the 2 hearings as we have in this new ordinance, and we allow the mayor to keep his veto power over this specific issue, then my advice would just be to leave it as it is, because you've not changed anything
That's right.
about the process.
That's right.
What is the purpose of this making this change? What does it help, or what does it not help?
I will defer that to Jonathan, because I was not sold on it changing to resolution either. I felt like it needed to stay public hearing ordinance, because we're still gonna have workshops, we're still gonna discuss it. This is an advertised public hearing, and I have no problem with it. To me, it's a formality.
The problem that I have, I was in South Carolina listening online at the time the lady was here, but if you'll remember, as Mr. Bullock has alluded to, the attorney from FMPA was here, who told us that if it stayed as an ordinance, that we could be sued. And actually, after the whole discussion, I actually asked her to get back up and say that again so that I could understand if I heard it correctly. And I can't remember the details of why, but I know that Ms. Ballou will.
There was a legislation that went this year that talked about
That
businesses being
that
able.
didn't pass but might next time.
That's correct.
That is what that statement
That's
was
what it
based on,
was.
correct.
Right.
Well, now, is that the only thing it does, is, keep us from being sued?
As your attorney, I'll advise that nothing will keep you from being sued. But from what I've heard from Public Works, I think that, and I'll let Public Works possibly say it better, but there are some other practical purposes for why this was placed before you as an intended change. And I'll pass it over to you because you're much more knowledgeable about that issue.
But that law that we're speaking about, it did pass. It's just one more line item needs to be gone through the government. or
So
the
it was
government.
passed and the governor vetoed it this year, is that the one? And next year, we're not sure he will.
But next year,
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
been stated next year he will not veto it. So it's coming either way.
Okay, understood. Hold on, Mr. Fuller. I know you're there. Can one of you state exactly what this ordinance does, other than change it from an ordinance to a resolution? What are we changing? We're eliminating sections and language.
If you go through, it eliminates specifically, there's the fees, which are things like putting in line temporary poles, yard lights. The second caveat to that is that it changes the rate structure. And so our ordinance currently has all that listed through a few sections. It talks about things like, for example, if people have solar, how do we reimburse, at what rate? So there's a lot of elements that are listed in ordinance. Because those things are so changeable as far as the market, what we did in the gas, or what we talked about doing in the gas, and what most cities are moving toward, it's now 50% of all municipalities have, is they're going from an ordinance to a resolution. And what bolstered that was the legislation that was passed by the Florida legislature and thankfully vetoed by our governor that did not allow them, but it basically stated that if something was an ordinance and it affected the general revenue of a business by 15%, that the state allowed them to sue. And they did not make a specific exclusion to rate adjustments. And so even though FMPA and FMEA and other Florida municipal power companies tried to get that exclusion in there, it was not put in. So that is why the recommendation from our power providers came in to change the process to protect the city so that it couldn't open itself up for liability.
Right.
And that was the main reason why it was suggested last meeting. I believe it was on July 19th that we discussed this. Council, their will was for us to bring it back, but to make sure that we added the language, which is section 7, specifically addressing that they wanted to maintain that the citizens had 2 opportunities. We have officially, in the language of the ordinance, put in a workshop that is required. So the same amount of meetings and advertisement have to take place. It just changes it from ordinance to resolution to protect the city as far as liability. So that's what we brought back. If the council decides they want to do something else, whatever your will is, we're just following through on the instructions we were given.
Thank you. Yes, this is our opportunity.
And so there's absolutely no way that we can have it where on electric utility rates alone, the mayor can still veto even if it changes? To have checks and balances? There's no way to do that?
Why would you want to do that?
If you vote against.
If you wanted to do that, like you said, you might as well leave it like it is.
Is your question?
And then you've got the legal liability.
Change it to a resolution. Can we not change it to a resolution and still have the mayor's powers to veto it and still have the 2 workshops? Only on utility rates and, as far as this, so I just like checks and balances in government.
So your question is for if we can construct an ordinance which
A resolution.
allows.
I think he's still saying a resolution.
But which allows for resolution, this specific resolution regarding the rates to be vetoed by the mayor. Is that the question?
Yes.
Your charter gives the mayor the right to veto any ordinances within 30 days after they're passed. Your charter doesn't say that your mayor can't be given the power to veto resolutions, but I'll defer to Scott, I've never seen a very specific veto power like that granted, and so I don't know that I can give you an educated opinion on that at this point. I don't know if Scott can.
I think what Kirsten said was that you can construct an ordinance to try to do what it is that you're suggesting. You could do such legislation, but of course that could be undone by the passage of an amendment to the ordinance. But you could have in this section that the mayor has the power to veto the resolution if he does so within 30 days. Now it's subject to another ordinance that would ultimately change that. The difference here is that in your charter, it's much harder to take that power away because it has to have a vote of the people to amend the charter provision. So that would be the difference in the procedure. But yes, I think you could ultimately have passage of your enacting resolution, even under this section, that would say mayor retains the power to veto the resolution within 30 days of its passage if he so chooses.
I think that's dangerous.
After the fact.
I think it's dangerous to do that. I don't like that at all.
Yeah. Make a comment, Mr. President.
Yes, sir, let's go through. Mr. Willoughby, you through?
Yeah, I mean, if we gotta change the wording and take ordinance away, then, I mean, that's the way I'd like it for the people anyway. I vote.
Mr. Goodman, Mayor Goodman.
Thank you, President Jones. So what I think I'm hearing is that you're talking about constructing a resolution that acts like an ordinance.
Go ahead. You're doing really good. So.
For purposes of, as far as the veto power that the mayor would have, yes. So in many ways, in most ways, it would act like an ordinance. We are still constrained by the Florida statute to spells out what an ordinance does, what resolutions do. So we're still constrained by those things. So ordinance is still law, resolution is still policy, but you would be affirmatively giving on a specific resolution the mayor the power, if we go forward with this, to veto that resolution in the same way he would veto an ordinance.
Ms. Corman. Mr. Fuller, you're next.
We're not the only one facing this issue, and legislation has not changed yet. I think we're trying to do this without really knowing what's going to happen. My issue is we keep talking about transparency. Public hearings are advertised. We're still going to do workshops to bring it in front of you. If we have to go through all of this with a resolution, there's no difference. I say we monitor that bill and see where it's going to go, because I see apprehension and concern, and we're concerned about something we don't know that's going to happen. Other towns are facing the same problem. Got to figure out what's going to transpire out of that.
I know, but can you change it after the fact? If it passes next year?
You could. We could go through the same process. If it passes, we could do that. I will also say that I have had discussions with other municipal attorneys, and I don't want anyone to be under the impression that changing this to a resolution will insulate us completely. There are a lot of unknowns. It's a brand new bill. We don't know what it'll be. It could very well be that because the ordinance establishes the resolution, there's a cause of action under the ordinance for allowing the resolution that changes the revenue by, more than 15%. So there are a lot of unknowns. There are things that, as your attorney, I have no case law on this, and we will obviously do our best to insulate the city from any liability that we would have, but I can't tell you that this is the silver bullet and this will protect you 100% because I don't know that.
Mr. Fuller. Thank you for being so patient.
Albert Fuller once again. My concern is that we have to have checks and balances, as Mr. Bullock said. And circumventing the mayor's vote or circumventing the mayor's veto is something we don't need. And we need to consider that as the council moves forward. Secondly, we're talking about making a decision on a tax. And I brought that up before as we were going through a previous meeting. Anytime that you are actually supporting city government with your utility rates, and that's what the utility rates are. Anytime that you're taking more from the people than what it costs to run, and using that money to fund the government, it is a tax. And so when taxes are levied, we need those opportunities. We need those checks and balances. We need those two readings. Because the citizens, if it's presented as an ordinance and it's passed the first time without all of the other considerations and a potential for a veto, it's too easy to levy that tax on the citizens. And that's something we don't need. We don't need to consider that. We can call it a utility rate increase, but when we begin to look at probably 60 or 70% or even more of city government being funded through utilities, it's a tax.
But what we're funding, what we're funding, as you know, is police and fire and roads and streets and parks. It's not that we're funding...
And administration. And so it is a tax.
A very small part of what's transferred goes to that portion.
The fact is, you're funding, it is a tax because it is not directed toward the way that the expenses are incurred. It's not toward utilities. So it is a tax. And regardless, we need to have a way to make sure that the citizens are able to speak. And that's my main concern. Preventing checks.
That's why we put the two readings in there, the two
Excellent.
readings in the resolution.
But we need that in an ordinance because then the other check and balance is the mayor and the mayor's veto.
If we take out the rate increase in the ordinance, leave the rest, that will give the mayor the right to veto a rate increase by ordinance.
If you leave it as an ordinance and not as a resolution like we have it written here. This is an ordinance, but this is an ordinance to change something.
If we take out
It's
the
not
rate
actual
increase in
ordinance.
here.
If we're trying to change the rates.
No, but if you take it, leave the rest, that will give the mayor the right to veto. I don't want to take away the right to veto.
Well, then we might as well leave it an ordinance.
Amen.
As long as we don't get sued. That's the problem. That's why we were trying to change it.
Nobody knows what.
Well, we still got another year to worry about.
And that was the question I asked earlier. Can you change after the fact? And Ms. Ballou said that she thought we could. So that's where I stopped, right there.
Just
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. All right, so, am I hearing you want to make it an ordinance, you want to leave it an ordinance, not a resolution? Who's rewriting this for second reading? Like I'm looking down the line.
We'll work with Public Works and we'll get it on your next agenda.
Okay, this is about the third time, if not the fourth, it's been on our agenda. So yes, let's get it, let's bring it home to second reading.
I believe we need to come back to first reading if we're going to leave it the way that it is. We have it now switched. Again, when you switch it substantively, when you change it substantively, it's not really a second reading of the same ordinance.
All right.
That would be my
That's what we did
recommendation.
last time, that's why we had it on here 4 times. Okay, so we're back to the original ordinance. At least you won't have to make up a new one, it exists. So, okay, for our next agenda, bring that. Everybody okay with that? All right. Okay, still open public hearing. Where are we? I don't even know. We're closing that public hearing and we're opening another public hearing for second reading of ordinance 2022-700, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, amending the city charter to change the dates of the city election and change terms of office necessitated by such change in the election dates, amending sections 2.02, 4.02, and 4.03 of the city charter, and providing effective date. Ms. Baloo.
This is the second reading of the ordinance which changes your election dates. Our supervisor of elections came and spoke to us about this process, and this is the ordinance that effectuates that.
Okay. Anything from the council before we move forward? I'll ask the public if they have anything to add on this thing about changing the dates of the election. All right. I'll entertain a motion for second reading.
I move that we approve ordinance 2022-700.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll close that public hearing and move to resolution 2022-51, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, authorizing the President of the City Council to execute contracts for the 2022-2023 Group Health, Life, Dental, Vision, Supplemental, and 457B plans for the City of Williston and providing for an effective date. Ms. Nelson.
Good evening, Madam President. I just want to make sure that you're aware of the notes that I just received the rates for our FMIT insurance quotes just the 1st of August. So I was just receiving these, and they are expecting our response any time now so that they can plan for our fiscal year change. And I wanted to make sure that you guys had an opportunity to review them, review the increases that they've implemented, which is usually on an annual basis, that they have some adjustments. And then I have a confirmation from our GAP plan through Colonial Life, just to assure that their rates are not increasing for the city paid benefit, and are asking for your approval and signatures to move forward.
Okay, this is as shown on page 25 of our packet.
Yes. And page 24, where it goes on to show you the dental and vision rates there.
And then the extra comment about the gap.
Yes.
Any questions for Ms. Nelson? This is a program through the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust provided from Florida River City. Entertain a motion for approval of resolution 2022-51.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-51.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item F is resolution 2022-53, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, authorizing the President of the City Council to execute an amendment to the HR manual, specifically Section 20, holidays, to include observing Juneteenth as an employer-paid holiday for the city of Williston, and to establish the new 2022-2023 holiday schedule, and approving for an effective date. Ms. Nelson.
Yes, this is also an annual process just to make sure that the holidays for the employees are approved for the next fiscal year. In this particular case, we are adding a holiday at your approval due to federal government approving for an additional holiday that's Juneteenth, which is June 19th. And so we are asking the council to approve the new schedule to include Juneteenth.
This is adding, not taking another holiday away, is it?
Right, it is
Adding
adding.
another.
Yes.
Okay.
Will it always be on a Monday, or is it always on the 19th?
It's always on the 19th, as far as I know.
Okay, so whatever day that.
Always on the 19th. And if it is a Saturday, then you reserve the Friday. If it's a Sunday, you reserve the Monday.
Okay, any discussion on the recommendation? I'll entertain a motion for approval of resolution 2022-53.
I make a motion that we approve resolution 2022-53.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I see discussion in the back. Chief Rolls.
Yes, before we move forward with this is adding a holiday to payroll.
Yes.
So
Yes.
is that holiday going to also be mandated or covered by an increase in budgets for holiday pay? Or is that something we're going to just have to try to absorb in our current budgets?
It will be an employer paid.
Yeah, we'll have to notify the finance director to add it to our budget. Yeah. The only question I had, let me see if I can even remember what it was now. Oh, where it says, and you guys especially are gonna know the answer to this, Ms. Nelson might as well, I think she will. Where it says, that, let me find the exact language, it was in here twice actually. Okay, if an employee is working a shift, obviously it talks about the fact that however many hours they're working, that's how many hours they get paid for the day. And if they're not working, they get paid whatever their normal shift would have been.
Right.
So if they worked 4 hours, or they worked 8 hours, or they worked 12 hours, that's how much holiday pay they get. What I had the question about, where it says, and the one particular instance in section 20-02B, if the actual holiday falls on the employee's duty day, he shall be compensated at the rate of 1.5 his regular rate of pay for all hours worked, in addition to the holiday pay. So that says that's 2.5 times if I'm reading it right.
That is what has been a current impact.
I read it in the current and in the new, but I thought it was double time, not 2.5 times.
They're paid, if they work, then it is time and a half, and then it is the time for the holiday. Because many times you have departments like, police, and sometimes with public works.
That's not what this says. This says 2.5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And they are paid
And I
time and a
always
half.
thought
Holidays were double time.
Not according to.
Like
the
overtime is
correct
time and a half. I know it's not what it says, but
Right.
I'm asking. Is that what we want it to be? Do we want it to be 2.5 times? Or is it supposed to be double? Yeah, I know, y'all say sure. I'm asking these guys up here. What is this, is it standard double time, or is it 2.5 times?
With my previous experience with employers, it has always been just double time.
Me too. That's why I was shocked
But
when I
that is
read
not
this.
the practice that I've seen here in the city of Williston.
Well, I would say just leave it at 2 times.
Thank you. Who said that? Chief Rolls.
That would be me.
That would be you.
Yeah.
I see you. Go ahead.
I would say leave it like it is.
Yes, hey, leave it like it is.
What's your salary now?
I'm not doing it for me, I'm salary.
I mean, it's kind of hard to take away, but my goodness, did we know it was 2.5 times?
Then that was this
You're
2011.
I'm sorry, I'll look at
You got me, that's
Can we
Ms. Jones.
come back to this?
Ms. Jones?
Yes,
That has
Ms.
been
Mills.
in the same policy.
I saw
From the
that.
2007.
I saw that.
So it has already been through the council in the revisions from.
Well, this is a different council, so we're.
Some of them, correct.
Can we-
Some of them, but there is also another change in this policy. That was not really mentioned, but it goes, the current policy says eligible employees, and this one only notates that it is only full-time employees.
Oh, well, I think it's currently only full-time. This is
Which is-
probably
which is-
clarifying that.
Which is
correct.
It's not. It is, the 2019 provision says eligible employees, and this one specifically has changed eligible employees to full-time eligible employees only.
Correct, because in the manual, it does further in another place explain how benefits are distributed to full-time employees and not part-time employees.
I started saying I know plenty of part-time employees have not been getting
Right,
been
so
getting
in
holiday
this
pay.
revision,
Yeah.
I was able to clarify full-time for eligibility, because there are some places in the policy that do not completely clarify for full-time and part-time employees. So in this revision, it was clarified, but there is another section that expresses full-time, part-time, exempt, non-exempt benefits.
Right.
And so that is why it's clarified in this policy,
But
in this
that-
revision.
Yes, but that should have been, notated that that's a change that's been
Right.
made to us instead of just for changing a holiday.
But can we?
That kills,
And
well, then,
I-
if I have we
And
have a
I, for one,
dispatcher
would like
who
to see
is
part-time
working.
employees get whatever their wage is too, and they're not getting it. We used to give it to them, but we haven't in the past however many years.
Yeah, because what happens is, if I have a dispatcher that's working that day, she don't get a holiday, she don't get that holiday.
I know. That's what I'm
Well, she does get the holiday, she would just have to flex it to another
You
day.
can't do that.
So if it's a full-time employee and they work the holiday, they get time and a half plus the holiday.
Well, I think a part-time employee who works the holiday should get it too.
And are you meaning full-time communications or?
No, the part-time fireman will be cut
Okay, the
out if
fireman.
you don't do it that way.
And our part-time.
We have plenty of
And our
part-time
part-time
employees.
dispatchers will be cut out if you don't do it that way. And the airport people will be cut out
We
if
have
you don't do
multiple
it that
departments
way.
that have part-time
Yes.
employees.
And the majority of the part-timers are fire and airport, and the PD has a new part-timer. And then in your past practice, you have not compensated part-time employees for benefits. So when you're talking of holidays, you're talking about a benefit package.
But if they work a holiday, they should get holiday pay.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
your holidays are part of your
Even if
benefit
they are
package.
part-time, they should still get it.
Right.
Does anybody else agree with that?
So you guys will have to decide if you want part-timers to also get holiday pay.
In our new budget, we're looking to start paying our reserves.
Yes.
Which are part-time people. Which means if they work on that holiday, they're not gonna get compensated for that, and that's not fair.
And I think it's a great thing to add to part-time employees, but most organizations don't do that as well.
We used to do it.
Yeah.
I don't even
Most
know when it
organizations
changed. It
don't
changed
pay
when I was there, I
holidays
guess.
or benefits to part-time employees.
Can we bring this back to the next meeting and you find out from other companies the way that they pay their corporations and stuff, how they pay their
And bring back some
employees?
data on.
Yes.
Either that or let's have a
Because
discussion about how
companies
we
that
do
I work
that.
for, you got time and a half on the day.
On the
of a
day
holiday.
of well, that's what you guys have here is time and a half.
This end of the dais wants to have a conversation now about it.
Okay.
I'm still hearing them. So
I'm
tell
all
me-
about what is right. I like to take care of the workers, so I'm for it.
Okay, so if you're part-time and you work, you should get time and you should get part-time. You should get holiday pay.
Absolutely.
Everybody agree with that? Mr. Ross?
Should we kind of look to see how it's gonna impact the budget? Because if we have to change it, then what more?
Yeah, we just had a holiday.
We can tell Mr. Bloom that we've done it. I don't think it'll be that much. Yeah, y'all are with me, you wouldn't work it without it, right?
Well, what you're saying is, what if they work part-time, if they are part-time and they work the holiday, you guys want them to get the time and a half plus the holiday pay?
For however many hours they work.
However many hours they work, is that what you're saying? You want them to get the same benefit for holiday pay, but not other benefits, just holiday work.
Yeah, we're
correct?
just talking about holiday pay.
Okay. Time and a half plus regular for part-time. That's real, which is 2.5, which is actually a great thing if you guys are gonna add that for part-timers.
Absolutely.
We used to have that. I don't know when it went away. I have no idea.
It's great
It's
for
definitely a recruitment for part-timers. It's
All right,
an
take a
incentive
vote.
for part-time workers. Mr. Stegall.
At the airport, what we've done in the past for part-timers, my apologies. In the airport, what we've done in the past for part-timers that are working holidays is we pay them out as holiday worked. We don't put them down for holiday pay and holiday worked. We just pay them at time and a half for that day. So I think that needs to be a point that's clarified, is that if they work the actual holiday, they're getting holiday worked, not their regular shift holiday pay as well, but just time and a half for what they have worked.
I agree, time and a half, not 2.5.
So that's a difference. So
Yeah,
you want to make
time and a half, not 2.5.
sure that they're getting time and a half for the holiday, but not the holiday pay.
Yeah, because if you're a part-time, then you should get part-time full pay. So if you take that away, you can get at least the time and a half to come in and work, even if you haven't hit your 40 hours that week.
Okay, so not the holiday pay, just time and a half.
Time and a half for hours
You
worked.
guys understand?
There needs to be a separation between shift work and your normal scheduled like employees. Because if you have shift work that you've been paying based on the way that we've been doing holiday pay from since our collective bargaining PBA contracts, and we brought that into our policies since at least 2009, since I've been here, that it has been, you've paid time and a half plus the holiday pay.
Right now, they're not getting anything.
Well, you have two different categories. You're having part-time and you're having the full-time employees. So if your full-time employees are getting paid at the time and a half plus the holiday pay, what you're saying is double time.
2.5 times.
2.5 times, but if you change it not to 2.5 times, we need to make sure that we clarify between what our part-time people and our full-time people are going to do.
I think that's real easy to do.
Yeah,
Just
it just
pull a
needs
whole
to be
section on the
clarified.
holiday pay about part-time holiday pay.
Yes. It just
But I
needs to be
think
And get for hours worked, 2.5.
black and white.
Yeah. But I think what we're clarifying, just like Benton said, is it's just for part-timers, just time and a half, but not the additional holiday pay.
And if you're a part-timer and you don't work, you don't get it. That's a
get it.
difference right there too, because
Correct.
that's what I'm
Yes.
seeing back here.
Yes,
That's a
absolutely,
distinction.
absolutely.
Because if you do work, and like it is now, if you don't work, you're still getting holiday pay, a regular employee would. So, on a part-timer, it's, you don't get it.
You don't get it
are
unless you work it.
Unless you were working, and it's time and a half for hours worked. Everybody agree with that?
That
I think that's
just
what I heard.
needs to be clarified. That needs to be written out and clarified, so.
She's gonna work
Okay.
for us.
great.
Okay. And bring it back to us, we'll look at it again.
Yes.
Are we gonna bring it back? She's gonna write it in. I think we need to see it, don't you?
I'll bring it back.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna table that for now. We're gonna go forward to, we're moving to item G, which is resolution 2022-54, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, approving the standard form T-hanger lease for T-hanger rentals at the Williston Municipal Airport, authorizing the airport manager to execute the standard T-hanger form lease, T-hanger lease with tenants, and providing for an effective date. Mr. Stegall.
Yes, ma'am. While we were doing some cleaning up of paperwork at the airport. We discovered a couple of things. One, that our T-hanger rental agreement is long outdated, and it has a lot of loopholes in it, which we've had some issues with out at the airport. One of those things is that people are using the T-hangers for personal storage items like cars and boats and things like that are non-aviation related. So there's been some language added to this rental agreement to prevent some of those things from happening. Some of the other changes that have happened are requiring a certificate of registration and a certificate of airworthiness for the registered aircraft assigned to the T-hanger. And the reason that is important is because if an aircraft is not registered, it's not legal to fly. Very much like a car, if it's not registered, you're not supposed to be driving it. And the certificate of airworthiness is basically saying that the airplane is allowed to fly, is legal to fly. It's not, out of annual. It's not out of inspection. It's safe to be flying. And one of the problems that we've been facing out at the airport is that a lot of people are sitting in these T-hangers for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and we've had absolutely no movement on the airplane. We can barely get in contact with the owner, and there's not really a whole lot of options for us to move forward. So this tightens those constraints a little bit on gearing the T-hangers for more actual aviation use as they were intended, and making it more both airport friendly and customer friendly to get them to where they're actually moving an airplane and not using it as a...
We do need to sell them some fuel.
Yes, ma'am.
If they're not flying, we don't sell them any fuel.
Yes, ma'am. But it's more about the cleanliness aspect of it. And if we have an airplane that's just sitting there in a hangar that's going to waste and going to waste and going to waste, it's not good for the airport. It's not good for anybody really. So those are just some of the changes. One of the things that this resolution does is it gives the airport manager the authority to execute T-hanger rental agreements. That was something that Kirsten brought to my attention a little while back, that we never had anything in the past covering us from that. And I believe the reason that we didn't is it was just something that got dropped in the transition from airport manager / city manager to airport manager out of the airport. This document, this resolution pertains just to this document. So in the event that we do revise our T-hanger lease again, it will have to come back, or T-hanger rental agreement, I'm sorry, it will have to come back again before the council and grant new authority to the airport manager. Any questions?
No, sir. Any questions?
I do.
Ms.
Just real
Barber?
quick, Ben, when we're, and this might be for Kirsten, when we're doing assignment and subleasing,
Yes, ma'am.
say these assignments or subleases can go on for years and the rent doesn't change.
Right.
I think it says no assignment or sublease. It's written in here.
Hold on a minute.
This particular one. Most of them don't particularly have that, but this one does.
That's one of the
Well,
problems.
it says without the prior written consent of the landlord, which may be withheld, so.
Which would be us.
So that's giving us the right to review it before you do it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you have a policy as to how you make the decision when the lease amount when the rental changes, the fee changes?
The fee changes with CPI.
Okay.
So it'll be annually, and our intent and what we've been sending to our customers, all of our T-hanger customers have received a letter stating that we've adjusted the rates for the T-hangers, and now in October we are going to implement this new T-hanger lease form. It does a couple of things for us. One, it gets everybody on the same T-hanger lease, because there are a couple of customers that are on different drafts, and that's just not a good look.
So you're going to get everybody to execute this one again?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Perfect. It's a really nice
So,
form.
Yep,
Very
and I mean,
inclusive.
Kelly and Kirsten worked very hard on it. I added some input here and there based on some things that we've seen with other airports. Bill Harden from 24 Juliet, who used to be an employee here, he actually helped us out with this as well. And that was, the certificate of airworthiness is something he does with his T-hangers up at Suwannee County. So, I thought that was a great idea, and, it's something that we implemented. So we've called around to other airports and asked for their input, and this is what we have.
Looks good. Any further questions for Mr. Stiegel? Not, I'll entertain a motion for approval of Resolution 2022-54.
I so moved.
I like it. They like that, Mr. Stiegel. Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question. Not for you, I'm sorry. I'm backtracking. On F, we have the resolution 2022-53. It was, there was a motion and a second. Do we have to remove that motion or just drop it as it is, or? There was a motion and it was seconded. There was.
And there was discussion.
And there was discussion, and we said we were gonna table it, but we may need to withdraw the motion, I'm not really sure. Any party purpose?
We need to move to table.
That would be the
Cleaner.
best,
proper
cleaner
way.
way to do it. For sure.
Okay, so let's have a motion. You'd like to have that.
I move that we table that motion.
So 2022-53. Okay, any discussion on the motion to table? All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution 2022-55, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Levy County, Florida. There's something new in there. Extending the Safe Built Florida LLC contract for 120 days until October 1st, 2022. Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Council. We have a contract for our building official that expired, and we need to rebid that out. The bid documents have been approved by the attorney, and we're just asking for an extension during that process to keep the current building official going until the bids are in and we can write a new contract.
Okay, so you're actually going to bid it out again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You hear Ms. Jones? Do you have any question for her? If not, I'll entertain a motion for Resolution 2022-55.
I'm going to pull Mr. Ross. So moved.
Yay.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Do I have any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item I is Resolution 2022-56, a resolution authorizing the submission of an application for the Florida Recreational Development Assistance Program to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for federal fiscal year 2023-2024. Ms. Jones.
Thank you. Typically, in a normal year, we wouldn't be seeing this till October. But unfortunately, last month we found out that the submissions are due at the end of August. So this is a little bit of a rush.
Whoa.
We would like to submit an application for Cornelius Williams Park. We have gotten a significant amount of money that we should be getting released in October, November to do safety and accessibility improvements at Cornelius Williams Park. And we're asking for permission to go for a $50,000 FERDAP grant to be able to bring some picnic areas, recreation areas out there at the same time.
Is that the biggest one they have?
No, that's the best one they have without a match.
Okay.
We do this won't even be awarded until next summer, so it's a long ways, but we wanted to ask permission to finish the application and submit it for August 31st.
Any questions for Ms. Jones? I'll entertain a motion for approval of Resolution 2022-56 so they can submit the grant.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2022-56.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Do we have any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have removed item J. We're moving to item K. Discussion with possible action, purchasing replacement lights for the outside of City Hall Electric Supervisor, Mike Miller. Mr. Miller.
Yes, this is to fix the lights that's around City Hall and around the back side. The retrofit lights were gonna cost $6,600, and I do not have that in my budget. But we did get with Stephen Bloom, and he said we have it in the general fund, but that's y'all's decision.
I don't know if y'all noticed that the lights in the front of City Hall and behind go on and off and on and off, and you'll be standing there and all of a sudden it's dark, and they come back on again. And Mr. Miller figured it out. And I think what you told me was the parts were not available to retrofit what we have, or to fix what we have to retrofit it
Yeah,
altogether.
we have high pressure sodium lights around, and right now we can't get the ballast for them.
Okay.
And those
So we
lights,
gotta go to LED.
Right, so these will be LED, they should be a little bit brighter maybe?
Yes, ma'am.
when those lights were purchased, they were out of date, and we didn't know it was part of the overage contract.
And
The ones that were I'm sorry, I didn't.
When they were purchased new, they were already out of date and couldn't get parts, but we didn't know it at the time.
Of course.
Thank you. Okay, so you've heard the recommendation. You've heard that Mr. Bloom says it's not in the utility budget, but that he can find it in general fund.
Oops, ouch.
And it has a waiting period, if I understand correct, that it was, what, 16 weeks or something?
Yes, ma'am, 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks, there you go. But that it would take to get here. All right, so what do y'all think?
For the safety of the employees, especially when daylight savings time kicks in, and residents.
We have a bazillion-dollar building and we have lights that blink on and off. I mean.
It's Christmas all the time.
It is. $6,600 in order to make our bazillion-dollar building look like a bazillion-dollar building. I'd say go for it.
You'd think there'd be some more to it.
Do we have the funds to do that?
In the general fund.
Mr. Bloom says we have it in the general fund, not the utility fund. And then he can pull it over. I'm sure it would be a budget amendment at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Any recommendation, I hear consensus from a couple people, but need a motion? Nope. Chief Rolls.
You can't make a
I see your smiling face back there. Are you making the motion?
No, I'm not making a motion. I'm just asking, and this is for Ms. Nelson, if that safety award money that we get could be utilized to purchase those lights.
There you go.
Ooh, instead of the shields that we didn't use it for.
There you go.
So good.
That's a
Listen to
great
you.
question. I'll have to check and ask. So if I could get like a description of the lights and whether or not they serve a specific safety purpose, which it does, it's lighting, and I can ask. So that's a great question. I'll ask and see if it's an item that we can use those funds for.
Page 68 gives a description.
That's my man.
The description and the cost is there.
So I could definitely ask.
Yeah. We would appreciate that.
Just trying to help.
Smart. Okay, we're gonna move on that. That means we're tabling it. You want a motion? We didn't get a motion, so I guess we're just tabling it. Yeah,
See
okay.
if we can do that before we.
Thank you so much.
Council President?
Yes, sir.
The safety grant, whether it includes it or not, you have to pay for it and you have to get reimbursed. So the city would still have to go out for the expense.
Yeah, but you get the
It's a reimbursement and you only get 50% of the
Thank you
the
for
cost.
knowing that. We appreciate that. And you only get 50% on the safety grant,
Correct.
on the safety bond.
50% of what you turn in, and I believe it will qualify because of the LED is also savings as far as the power.
Right.
So there's
Energy
safety and there's
efficient.
energy
Mr. Potts
efficiency.
pointed that out earlier, synergy efficient.
And there are funds from the safety grant from the last quarter, currently about $2,600 that we received from our application of the safety grant. So there are almost half that's available for use.
Already.
That's what we need.
Okay, so y'all want to reconsider making a motion to go forward?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Do I have a second to use the safety grant, the safety bonus, whatever it's called, safety grant, and to go ahead and order? Yes. I have a motion. I have a second from Mr. Cox. Any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank y'all for being so knowledgeable in all those different areas. Okay, so we also removed item L, and we're moving now to item M. Discussion with possible action, Mr. Penny, regarding staff.
Yes, I'm Joel Penny. Probably for about 2 months, I've been trying to have a meeting with Jackie. Yeah, this is I've been trying to have a meeting with Jackie or talk to her about some situations that's going on in the city of Williston. Every time I call here or come up to the office, try to talk to her, oh, I'm too busy, I'm in a meeting, or, I've been up here 5 times this week to try to talk to her. I left my phone number. I have to come to y'all about this. And it's very embarrassing on my end because my cousin came to me, which is a prior member that used to work for the city of Williston, that he has heard the city staff, employees say sexual gestures about me and gay comments about me, and I'm very aggravated. Very. I have talked to the chief about it. I have talked to Alicia about it. I got the names of the people that my cousin has told me, and Jackie Gorman, you're one of them, that has made sexual gestures about me and stuff about that. I do not appreciate it. I do not appreciate it. I came in here last week. Wait, no. Mayor, when was it that I came to you to get the ditch cleaned up by my house? I put a work order in.
It was 2 weeks ago.
Right. I put a work order in almost 6 weeks ago. Nothing was done about it. Nothing was done about it. This is the city manager running. This is how she runs her business. But I have to come up here and get into a meeting with the mayor to get something done. That is not how you run a business. At all. I came up here last week to talk about all this. And I got the chief of police as a witness. Ashley, you can come up here if you would, please.
No, I don't believe so. He's perfectly happy where he is.
Okay, well, I came to him and talked to him about everything that was going on. He brought me out to the side. He brought Miss Jones outside, and I told her what was going on, and she told me, no, I cannot bring this up in the meeting. I can't say nothing about this or anything. Which, by law, the Sunshine Law, I could have last meeting, because
It was a budget hearing.
It doesn't matter.
It was a budget workshop.
It had a public
And what did I
where I
ask
talk.
you to do, Jody?
So,
What did
you
I ask
broke
you
the
to do?
Sunshine Law.
No, I did not break the
You
Sunshine Law.
refused to tell me I couldn't say anything.
What did I ask
And the
you
chief
to
is...
do? What did I ask you to do instead of bringing it up in the middle of a budget workshop that we were going to be here for 4 hours with already? And you did exactly what I asked you to do.
And I did.
Yes, you did.
But you told me that I couldn't speak, but by law, I could have spoke.
I told you it was not the appropriate
No, you-
time during a budget workshop. He heard me. He heard me say that it was not the appropriate time.
You told me I
during
couldn't.
a budget workshop to please.
This is not the place to say
Let me finish
anything.
my sentence, please. In front of the chief in the hallway, I told you that it was a budget hearing. It was not the appropriate place because we were discussing budget and there was nothing.
You said not to bring it up.
Let me finish the sentence. That it was not the appropriate place for that particular issue.
It was.
No.
It was.
To please go to.
I've been humiliated by this whole city.
I ask you to please go to Miss Latricia and put it on the agenda for tonight, which is exactly what you did.
Well, I'm just letting people know that I had an opportunity to speak about this last meeting, and you told me I couldn't.
There
You
was
told me no.
nothing appropriate in a budget hearing that it would fit into.
But by the sunshine law, I could say whatever I want to in the public participation.
If it had to do with the budget, yes.
At any
In a
time,
budget
no,
workshop.
anything. Anything that had to do with the city, I can, by law. Just let y'all know.
Thank you for letting us know. All right, item number 6 is public participation. If there is anybody in this audience who would like to come at this time to add anything that is not on our agenda, you have 5 minutes. Okay, I don't see anyone. Aaron, got anybody online? Okay, at this time we will move to announcements. And I'll ask the staff first in the back if you have any announcements. Seeing none, Mr. Ross, do you have any?
Not an announcement, but a question.
Okay.
Where are we on the Peso property at the top of the hill?
Excellent question. Ms. Jones, what's your name?
We had a little bit of a lack of communication between the city and the attorneys, and we've just now paid the filing fees. So that complaint is going to be filed in the very near future. So I don't have an update for you other than that we do have the complaint written and approved, and the filing fees are now over to the attorneys.
Okay. Mr. Bullock? Mr. Mayor?
I have ordered the glass for the cat rooms at the shelter. That's all I have.
Ms. Robinson? No. Mr. Cox? Ms. Gordon?
The mayor has called a meeting for tomorrow night. When I asked what the meeting was about, my response was you. I have no idea why. I don't know what the meeting's about. I'm asking tonight to know what the meeting, the special meeting that's been called, is for tomorrow night. Please.
It's the mayor's meeting, so I'm not really
It's the
sure.
mayor's meeting.
You can't give a response that vile and that hostile, because I'm sitting and wondering what in the world myself or my staff has done, and it's not fair to be blindsided. So I'm asking tonight what the meeting's for, and I've always asked you respectfully, but I never got a respectful answer. Please help me know what's on the agenda for tomorrow night so I can be prepared, please.
I have no comment.
Are we having a meeting tomorrow night?
We are having.
Does it say a special meeting has to have a purpose stated?
There's no requirement in your charter that the special meeting have a purpose stated, only that it is advertised in the same way that regular meetings are advertised. And Latricia, have we done that?
Yes, we have done
done
that.
I can tell you if we tried to do something like that as staff, it would be unacceptable. I'm asking again to please say in public why the meeting is taking place tomorrow. And this is acceptable to this council for that to take place.
It's not acceptable. We should know.
It's not right. It's not fair. We have a personnel policy. We have an HR manual. If there's something that's going to be put out to the public at a public meeting about an employee, we have the right to come prepared to defend ourselves. I can tell you I would never, morally or ethically, do that to you, ever.
Miss Gorman, I am not going to get into an argument with you.
That'd be the first. You've been hostile and then don't, I'm asking you one more time to please.
No comment with you.
If this is acceptable to this council, I can tell you it's distressing that my staff has got to hear that we cannot get an answer for a blindsided attack on an employee so they can't be prepared, whether it be me or anybody else. That's not right. I have done nothing but give this city my best effort. Then I'm prepared to put a statement, read a statement into the record. This is a memo to mayor and city council, and it's called Bullying and Intimidation, Retaliation Against Me for Discovering Financial Inequities and Requiring Accountability from Department Managers. As you know, since my arrival in 2018, I have worked hard to try and give the city of Williston my best skills and abilities. My degree is in public administration with a minor degree in HR management. I've had 8 weeks of classes that focus on excellence in government. These classes train me in process management, making sure that any processes were done efficiently and effectively. And I've been a public servant for 45 plus years. I have moved to Williston because of the love of this city and working for this city council. One of the first challenges that was brought to management was to work with the CRA board in assisting them with understanding the laws surrounding the use of TIF funds and how they could not be transferred to general fund. The CRA lost thousands of dollars that were never returned. Upon hire, City Manager Lippman asked that I restructure the entire building department, which I did accomplish. I removed a consultant that was hired for $140,000 to revamp our land development code. I recovered close to half of the $90,000 that was written off in a Waste Pro contract that was never told to council. Many utility bills were being written off, resulting in huge financial losses to the city until I led the city into entering a contract with the collections firm. Currently, I've been leading the city through a financial recovery due to past bad management decisions that have resulted in severe revenue shortages. Since Dina Nelson was hired as HR director, she's been working hard to repair and improve compliance in our human resources department. It is imperative that we understand all employee benefits, wages, and have accomplished this for City Hall, but we've not received anything but pushback from our former police chief Stroh and fire chief Stiegel. Timesheets are incorrect. We have found where many of their staff have been inappropriately paid for overtime that's cost the city thousands of dollars. Paperwork that's mandated to be filled with the state's not been done, which may result in major fines that we've been tirelessly trying to get in front of. We've had pushback on compliance with HR manual policy, placing the city in jeopardy of lawsuits. There's excessive spending taking place with credit cards. Credit card spending is out of control. I'm not getting cooperation, only retaliation from department managers, including the mayor. Now Mayor Goodman's doing the same by making inappropriate purchases with his credit card, and now that he has been exposed, he's intimidating, retaliating against both me and Ms. Nelson. I've been continually asking for accountability on credit card purchases. I'm giving up my credit card because I do not want to be part of this financial inequity any longer. There's past pattern with intimidation with Human Resources Department employees by past police and fire leaders, causing them to abruptly leave employment. As we continue to find financial inequities, the bullying gets worse. My promoting Dina Nelson to Deputy City Manager, HR Director brought an amazing amount of criticism from council, the mayor, police and fire, and past mayor. I have the absolute authority to promote this position, and I did. This is not unusual practice. I felt she had the skills to assist me in getting through some of the process management issues we're facing here at this city. Ms. Nelson has exemplary education skills and abilities. Why is this a threat to the mayor, fire, and police leaders? I've been harassed and intimidated for months, yet I continue to take the high road, hoping this would end. Both Dean and I were warned by Jonathan Bishop and Donald Barber that both Dean and Nelson and I would be provoked into losing our temper with hope to file a claim. We have city employees who will witness to hearing about this plan of attack. Recently, Lamar, our fire chief, provoked Dina, deputy city manager, to the point of her losing her temper. which has led to a formal complaint. I've been reaching out to our attorneys for assistance in getting the matter resolved, because I cannot remain unbiased having witnessed all the bullying and intimidation and retaliation that's been taking place. On June 13th, several department managers and employees received an anonymous letter that made my staff very uncomfortable and unsafe due to the veiled threats stated in the letter. A city email was mentioned, so I asked our IT department to retrieve it, hoping I could get some idea as to who would send such a letter. The email was between Mayor Goodman and Councilmember Marguerite Robinson. Once the mayor realized I had access to all these emails, he demanded from our IT director that I not be allowed to look at city emails. The mayor does not have this authority. I've been trying to lead managers through the budget process to make staff salaries competitive and include a capital budget that's been neglected for over a decade. These funds that are desperately needed for capital has been sacrificed to support the general fund. During the staff meeting on August 10th, I reinforced the need to cut back on executive salaries so we could include capital funds. Now managers are complaining to the mayor, and a special meeting's been called. I asked the mayor what the topic of the meeting, and he said, "You are." Council Chair Deborah Jones and Councilmember Mike Cox have been working tirelessly to assist us in understanding why this bullying and retaliation is taking place. Both have been supportive in our efforts to improve compliance. There's a pattern showing the same names on all emails, Facebook, blogs, etc. The people behind this have been on council for many years, have allowed all these financial inequities to take place. Now they're intimidating and retaliating against both me and Deanna because they're afraid of exposure. Mayor Goodman, by charter, is responsible for police and fire, not my administration, yet he continues to interfere with city business. His bullying and intimidation needs to stop. Dina Nelson and I do not deserve the unfair treatment we've been receiving the past months, and I'm asking for the bullying, intimidation, and retaliation to please end. The impact of both of us is causing a major distraction, resulting in loss of productivity and an increased risk for staff and low morale. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. I guess we're gonna have a meeting tomorrow. At 6 o'clock. Sounds like we got a lot to discuss. Yep, that's what the meeting's about. At this time, I think I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Huh?